right? Comparing and contrasting studies. So comparing and contrasting means, as I said, for the research problem and title, right? So then to identify the concept, it is necessary to review the existing, right, scholarly works like research works. And then they compare the different research works to understand their, right, uh, the findings, whether they have the same findings or the different findings. So that's why comparing and contrasting studies in the context of research involves systematically analyzing and synthesizing. Analyzing means identify the findings, and synthesizing the findings means the summarizing the findings from previous studies within a particular field or topic area. So here is how this process helps to position the current research and contribute to the ethics in India. So that's why, when every researchers, when they try to do the research, that research now, right, to be a scientific research. So the literature review is important because researchers cannot say, this is my opinion, this is my observations like that. They cannot say. So then when whatever they want to like say in the research, they have to give some sort of a evidence. So then that evidence always come from the previous researchers' findings. So that's why here synthesizing the findings. So that means summarizing the finding. Researchers first gather and review range of relevant studies and address similar or related research questions. So then, as I said, we will discuss how we can search the sources from using the different, right, online sources. Nowadays, very convenient for the researchers to uh, get the relevant research works, right? So then, finding the each research works and try to get the right comparisons of their findings. So then summarizing the key findings, identifying the main conclusions, results, and methodologies used in the research study. That also we discussed in the last class. When you read any research article for your assignment, definitely you have to download lot of articles and you have to highlight that findings and you have to compare that findings and you have to summarize it. So highlighting consistencies and discrepancies. Consistency means same ideas. Discrepancies is various ideas from the various researchers. So noting where studies agree or disagree on a particular aspects of the topic. So then identifying patterns and trends. So this is normally comparison, right? Researchers can identify patterns or trends across multiple studies. This might include common themes or theories, right? So when they try to analyze the or review the different works, then they can identify the common patterns, right? Themes or theories. So recognizing the recurring themes, recurring means again and again they are uh, right, saying the same thing in a different studies. So then we can say this is the same theme or different researchers try to find. So then a theoretical framework also that appears in different studies, right? So that's why then they can think about that maybe the more popular. So everyone is trying to take the same thing. That's why recurrent means repeatedly these themes and theories are appearing from the different studies means that is accepted by most of the researchers, right? That's why we can say that is the trend or that is the common, right, findings. Another one, evaluating the methodological approaches. That is very important because, what is the methodology is appropriate to the particular research is depending on the literature. So that means previously researchers used some methodologies appropriate to the particular research context or for the research problem. So then same methodology can be applied in a particular study. So the comparing studies also involve assessing the strength and limitations of different research methods and design used, right? So comparing the studies also involves assessing the strength and limitations of the different research method and design because sometimes previous researchers may use some methodology Another researcher sometimes criticizing the methodology right, used by the previous researchers, because that methodology is not fit to the particular research context. So that's why you also can think about which methodology may be more appropriate to the particular research context. So then this includes experimental versus observational methods, like example, the experimental and observation. So then contrasting experimental studies that manipulate variables with observational studies that observes natural behaviors. Uh, so then the contrasting experimental studies, right, that manipulate variables with observational studies. So then that's why there may be the differences in experimental studies and observational studies, like a quantitative versus qualitative approaches. So comparing studies that use numerical data analysis with those that employ qualitative data collection and interpretation. So in which research context the qualitative research approach is appropriate or suitable, or in which research settings is quantitative research is appropriate. So then, so that is, when they are reading the previous researchers, they can understand, right, particular research context. Most of the researchers are using the quantitative method is more appropriate. So then you also can use that. Or in some research context, they use the qualitative approach, or in that case, you can use the qualitative approach as well. Another one, so positioning and current research, right? Positioning current research means by comparing and contrasting existing studies, right? By comparing and contrasting existing studies, researchers can position their own research within a broader scholarly conversation, right? So then by comparing and that means, say, for example, for one research paper also, at least researchers are reading at least 50 research works. So as a literature or citation. So then now you can understand 50 is a very significant number. So then when they write to compare that studies, right, they can understand, right, as well as sometimes contrasting. That means the differentiating the finding from the existing studies. So researchers can position their own research within the broader scholarly conversation. This helps to identify gaps or areas needing for further investigation. So highlighting where previous studies may have left unanswered questions or produce a conflicting results. So then here, uh, by comparing and contrasting existing studies, researchers can identify gaps. Gaps means because even though there are a lot of studies available in a particular research context, but some points, some information, some knowledge is missing. So then they can understand, even though there are a lot of research available, so particular knowledge is missing from these studies. So then areas needing further investigation, they can understand why comparing and contrasting the existing studies, only they can identify some research gaps. And then they can think about this gap can be fulfilled by initiating another research study. So then highlighting the where previous studies may have left unanswered questions, because some questions not answered by the previous researchers. So then produce a conflict. Sometimes uh, existing research can produce a different results. So then conflicting results, not right. Uh, Agree the results, because different researchers are producing a different results. So then it is a conflict. Which one is correct? So in that case also, sometimes researchers can think about, okay, existing research is not giving answers to some questions, and some existing research are producing some conflicting results. So then researcher can think about another research they want to initiate to identify the real results, or sometimes answer some unanswered questions. So then they can initiate a research to fulfill that gap. So then another one, justify the novelty or significance of the current study. Novelty means how it's important. So demonstrating how the proposed research will support challenges or extend existing knowledge. So then novelty means the values of the research, right? So then how these research can produce some original contribution to the particular knowledge field, right? So then contributing the knowledge development. Actually, the purpose of conducting research to create the knowledge, as we discussed earlier. So the contributing knowledge development. Ultimately, comparing and contrasting studies helps researchers contribute to the advancement of knowledge in the field, right? Comparing and contrasting studies. Again and again, I am telling that you should understand, right? Sometimes um, students have some reluctance to write to study about literature review, but as a academic right student, you should understand the literature because literature is a very essential for the research work. So some other academic work also the literature is important because whatever you write and academically, you have to analyze the existing knowledge, right? Existing scholarly work, and you have to refer. So that's why ultimately comparing and contrasting studies help researchers contribute to the advancement of knowledge in their field. So then here you see offering insights or new perspectives. Very deeply, they can study to get some understanding. So proposing alternative explanations or interpretation based on synthesis of existing findings. Sometimes that's why time to time new knowledge emerge. How it is emerging? Because new researchers are exploring the new right perspectives by deeply doing the research and analyzing, and sometimes they summarizing the existing findings to understand the new phenomena. So suggesting a future research directions, another, because when you are doing a research only, you can understand. Normally, every research, scholarly research work, so research papers, and end of the work, then they try to give some future direction based on their, because they have deeply analyzed the existing research, compared, contrasted, and reviewed, and they have conducted the studies, and they have identified some pattern, or they concluded something, but they know something is missing. So in the particular knowledge area, then they can right, suggest some future research direction. So that means based on their experience, they can give some sort of a direction to the future researchers to continue the research in a particular area. So that's why recommending the areas where additional research is needed to resource a consistency, so expand understanding. Because sometimes, as I said, research always is a narrow in the sense, one research, it is not possible to get a wider knowledge, right? So, but the knowledge is particular related to the problem. That's why already we have discussed. Every research begins with identifying the research problem. So then the purpose of the research is try to find the answers to the particular research problem. So then that knowledge also confined to that research problem. So the beyond that research problem, it is not possible to give a solution in a particular research. So that's why researchers, based on the experience, they may say, this research is right to find, answer the right research questions, right, mentioned in the research. So that's why some knowledge is necessary beyond that research questions to the practical scenarios or some other managerial perspective. So then they can give some suggestions to the future researchers to expand the research in a particular right research. It may be the methodology. Sometimes they use a methodology like a qualitative studies, and they can sometimes say, so then only they explore some issues, but in this context, future researchers can conduct some quantitative studies to validate that, right? So like that, now you see, these are uh, the the benefits of doing a literature survey. And another one, literature reviews, highlighting the methodological approaches. So highlighting the methodological approaches in research involves critically examining the method used in a previous studies in the particular field or topic area, right? Highlighting a methodological approaches. As I said, that is very important now. So researchers, so here you see understanding methodological diversity, the different methodologies available. So then researchers can use this one. So researchers begin by identifying and summarizing the various methodologies employed in previous studies. These include quantitative methods. Quantitative methods means such as surveys, experiments, statistical analysis, and that involves a numerical data collection and analysis. That also we discussed about. And qualitative methods such as interviews, case studies, content analysis, focus and understanding the experiences, meaning and process. And mixed method studies that combine both quantitative and qualitative approaches to gain a comprehensive understanding of the research problem. So then, as I said, you may have a doubt about, say, for example, you are going to do a research, right? So sometimes what is the research methodology is appropriate to conduct the research. So then what you can do, you have to read some existing research work related to your research topic, and you can identify, right, existing researchers are using some methodology, right, related to your research, right, problem. So then you can adapt that methodology. It may be a quantitative study, it may be a qualitative study, so it may be both, right? So qualitative and quantitative, that means that mixed methods, right? It depends. And evaluating methodological rigor. Another one, researchers assess the strength and limitations of each method used in the previous studies, right? As I said, because researchers again may think about which, because different researchers use a different methodology. So then which one is appropriate? So that's why recognizing where specific methodologies were effective in addressing research question, generating reliable data, providing insightful interpretation. So that also important. I will show which research is popular, because nowadays there are methods available online. Normally, when you read a research paper, if you search in the Google, there are a number of research paper, but you don't know which one is a reliable, popular one, very authentic, or right, very insightful. So then, how you can identify? Because that is based on the citation. I will show that, right? So limitations also. So identifying challenges or drawbacks such as sampling biases, data validity issues, limitation generalizability. These are some limitations also. Researchers sometimes mention in their research, they have some challenge in their research. Sometimes they may say due to the sample, right? Because sample is very another section we will discuss. In the research, normally when they try to collect the data, right? So when they try to collect the data due to the practical issues, they try to get the representation of the representatives of the population. Population means the total study area covering the respondent. Uh, Sample means representation. So when we are getting the sample, sometimes there may be a bias. Bias means sometimes we ignore some important respondents. Only we select some respondents. That may be a bias, right? If it is a bias, it cannot be give the real answer. So, say for example, if we are going to do a research among the university students, Jaffna University more than 12,000 students, right? So we are going to select 300 samples. Sometimes we select the samples from the Faculty of Management Studies, 300. Sometimes we collect the sample because you are in the 30th semi. In the 30th semi, we can select 300 students. So then we can say we collected 300 samples from Jaffna University to study the social media campaign, right, effectiveness among the Jaffna University students. So then there may be a bias. Why it is bias? We are taking 300 sample. Okay, no problem. But 300 is not representing other faculties, other batches, because even management faculty also there are 4 batches. Only we are going to select the third year, but their third year behavior is not representing the other batches, not only other batches, other faculty students also, because each faculty we have to consider to collect the sample from each faculty in a proportional way. So that's why now you can understand that sample bias also in the research maybe. So then when we read the research methodology sections of methodology rigor, to understand how it is powerful. The researchers normally mention in their research work, the particular research is using, employing the particular the sample, the data validity issues, or some other right aspect. So then researcher can think about, okay, whether that research is really giving a real scenario, or that is with some limited right scenarios like that, they can think about. Another one is a comparing methodological choice. By comparing different methodological approaches, researchers can identify best practices, right? Identify best practices. That means determine which methods have been more successful in previous research contexts and study. That also important because that also you may think about, because you sometimes you write to read some research article, you don't know whether that is a very successful research or not, right? So that's why I mean, we can select that successful researchers by seeing the citation. Citation means earlier one researcher published some research work, and other following researchers reading that research work and acknowledging it in their work. That means citation. So then they are citing that work in their work. So then, like that, there are how many other researchers are mentioning the previous research. So then, based on that, we may think about a number of citation increase. That means the paper is getting a popular one, because if it is a successful one, only people write to read and cite it, right? So like that, consider alternative approaches, explore new or innovative methods that may offer advantages over additional approaches, right? New methodologies also. That's why always normally advisable to the researchers, like young researchers like you, when you are reading the literature, please pay attention to the latest literature. Say, for example, at least within 10 years period. It is more appropriate within a 5 years period, last 5 years. Say, for example, 20, 21, 22, 23, 19, right from 19. Because, earlier your paper research may be started in 19, 10, 20, 50, 80, right? So then that may be very old. Sometimes that methodology may be old. But so that's why if you want to use some new methodology, it is better to read the latest papers, right? So then I will show right the research method, and you can understand how you can select the latest research. And informing current methodological choices. Based on the evolution of previous methodologies, researchers make informed decisions about the methodology for their own study, selecting appropriate methods, choosing the methods that align with the research question. As I said, when we are selecting the research method should align with the research questions, objectives, and theoretical framework of the current study, and that also consistent with the previous researchers used. And addressing the potential challenges, anticipating and mitigating methodological challenges based on lessons learned from the previous studies. That's why previous researchers have mentioned about their challenges. So then you can, that is their lesson. They have learned that lessons, and so then they can use that lesson as their own work. So then contributing to methodological advancement, discussing methodological approaches not only informs the current study, but also contribute to the advancement of research methods. As I said, by reading the latest research, we can understand the latest advanced research methodology. So introducing a new methods or modifications that address limitations identified in previous studies. And replications and validation. Replicating studies using a different methods to validate findings and strengthen the reliability of research outcomes. Right, now we are moving to the important part, citing sources. It provides a proper citation for all sources referred according to the citation style required by the discipline or journals. So this ensures academic integrity and gives a credit to previous researchers. So sometimes this is new to you, but actually you should follow this practice as an academic, right, student, right? And so then uh, it provides proper citation. Citation means, say for example, when you are reading one resource and you are writing based on that resource, and you have to give a acknowledgement. How you can give acknowledgement? So you have to mention this knowledge or idea is right of someone. So that is the citation, right? Occurring to the citation style required by the discipline or journal. Because citation style, there are different citation styles available. Normally, in the management faculty, our university management faculty, we are using APS style. APS style means American Psychological Association styles. This ensures academic integrity and gives a credit to previous researchers. Right? This ensures academic integrity and gives a credit to the previous research. So that's why academic integrity means citing source demonstrates honesty and transparency in research, because sometimes the previous researchers put hard work to identify or create some knowledge without giving the credit to them. Another one is copying that in their work and claiming it is their own work is not the ethical way. So that's why to be honest author, honest researcher, whoever can read, because that, as I said, reading the previous researchers is must. We cannot ignore the previous researchers' knowledge. So how we can incorporate in our work? We can write their ideas in our own words, right? So that's why citing sources demonstrate honesty and transparency in research. That means this knowledge is extracted from the previous researcher, and it acknowledges the contribution of previous researchers and scholars who work has informed the current study. This is crucial in upholding ethical standard and avoiding plagiarism. Another one is plagiarism is a very serious concern nowadays among the research circles, because plagiarism means without acknowledging the previous research, copying the work and using. But some misunderstanding about the plagiarism, because some people may say we are right copied the previous workers' ideas and we are giving their name as a citation. Actually, that is plagiarism, because as it is, we are using their work in our work. Right? Previous researchers mentioned some point without writing, because only you can get the idea, opinion, not exact wording, sentences. So then to avoid the plagiarism, don't copy anything from the previous work. Only just extract the ideas or opinion and write it is in your own work. So and again you have to give the citation. That means even you can write in your own work, but the idea is another one's idea. No, so then that idea you have to acknowledge. How you can acknowledge? You have to give a citation. So citation, I will explain, right? One research article I will show you. So when you read that research article, and you can, right, understand that. Another one is supporting claims and arguments. By citation sources, researchers provide evidence to support their claims, arguments, interpretations. Right? This adds credibility and authority to their own work by showing that it is grounded in existing scholarship. Whatever new knowledge comes with the help of previous research, right? Previous researchers have put some effort. Now another new knowledge can be created, but from the base of the previous researchers. So that's why it is necessary to cite the previous researcher's name in their particular work, right? So then contextualizing the research, citation places the current study within the broader scholarly conversation, right? So they show how research builds upon, right? Critics contribution to existing knowledge in the field, right? So that means citations place the current study within the broader scholarly conversation. So then we have to write so one paragraph. So then when each right idea we have to cite, right? So then guiding the further reading, citation help readers explore related studies and deepen understanding of the topic. They provide a roadmap for the future research and facilitate intellectual engagement with the subject matter. Intellectual engagement. So then when researcher is citing some ideas of previous researchers, a particular reader can have some doubt or want to know much about, so then they can go to the particular original source and again they can read and get more understanding about a particular area. So then according to the citation style, as I said, the different disciplines and academic journals may have a specific citation style. So APA, right, American Psychological Association, So the MLA, this is another one, and Chicago. So these are some examples that dictate how sources should be cited in terms of formatting, punctuation, and order according to these styles ensures consistency and clarity in the presenting citation. So citation means, for example, Robert published one book in marketing communication in 1921 as an example, right? That is not enough, but there is a format is available, right? How we can put Robert and his initial and the year of publication, year of the source of the publication, and title of the work, and it may be a book. If it is a book, who is the publisher, and if it is a research paper, what is the volume, right? What is the number, right? And the page number. So then these have to be in a format. It's a standard format. So then that means that I will explain how we can cite the work. So then components of the citations, right? A citation typically includes author, the name of the author responsible for the work being cited, the title of the work, such as article, book chapter, or website, publication information, details such as the journal name or book title, a volume and issue number, publication date, page numbers, right? DOA, digital, right, object identifier, or URL, that is nowadays, right, maybe included for online sources to provide a direct link to the source. So there's, because now most of the research work are available online. So then it is some researchers try to publish the work. The publishers expecting to include all the DOI, right, in the bibliography. Then they try to mention that. So then in-text citation versus bibliography references, sometimes you may confuse about. Citation means within the work. Say, for example, when you are the body of the work, then they try to mention the author's name and the year of publication. And bibliographic or references means a complete set of details of that publication. In-text citations appears within the main text of the research paper, actually in parentheses. That means a bracket, indicating where a specific idea of what originated. And a bibliography or a reference list is located at the end of the paper, includes a full citation for all sources referenced in the work. So now I will show you one research work. Right. So now this is a work promoting sustainable and human-centric industry 5.0. Right? This research is appearing in the Emerald database, right? Promoting sustainable and human-centric Industry 5.0, a thematic analysis of emerging research topic and opportunities, right? So then this work is done by me, right? In July, article publication date 26 July, but actual issue publication date 20 March 2024 this year. The March by 20th, they have published this issue. So far, 1,656 right downloads from this. That means 1,656 people are researchers are reading my work, and I will explain these citations, right? How I have done this here. So then I talk about something. Digital technologies of numerous opportunities to transform industries. and gain a competitive advantage by creating new business model. So then I mentioned Farha, Lamas, et al. And 2021. This is a citation, right? So then this is not my idea. This is a citation because this idea is extracted from the previous researchers. Like that here, again I talk about right, many technological enthusiasts believe that Industry 5.0 will restore the human connection in the manufacturing industry. Nahawandi 2019. So then this idea also not my idea, this idea of these researchers. So then I cited acknowledging this. So like that you see here throughout the work, you can see these are the citations, right? These are the citations. Frequently I use the citations. Okay. So then methods and I will show you end of the work. Findings also, now I am talking about the citations, right? So then you see, this is the end of the work, reference list, right? The reference list explain the number of authors, then their year of publication. This is their title of the work. The Applied System Innovation, this is a journal, and volume 5, number 1, page 27. DOI, as I said, this is a digital application number. When I click this here, copy this one and putting in the Google and you search it and you can get the original source like that, right? This is the way, right, to write the citations. So then now you see, you can understand the literature. So then this research is searched extensive uh, literature in a systematic way and summarized the findings and contrasted the findings and finally produced the work, right? So then here, end of the work also they are mentioning in the research work. This is available in the online. If you want, you can check it. Swaraja Rajamis, they're from the Department of Marketing, right? So you can download even. So then, and you can get the idea, right, how the citation is used. Okay, thank you.